There are 7 Valorant agents who perfectly represent the 7 deadly sins, and in this video, we'll go over all of them, starting with greed. Of French descent and born into wealth, Chamber is accustomed to a life of comfort and luxury. He represents greed in all its glory. He's always impeccably dressed, with a way of speaking that often comes across as arrogant and condescending. Of course, he carries the finest combat weapons, which he makes himself. Chamber is a master of advanced weaponry and teleportation, allowing him to dominate the battlefield with ease. Chamber's superior skills and weapons, combined with his arrogance and self-confidence, make him the epitome of greed. But is that necessarily a bad thing? Greed isn't always negative. It can also mean being ambitious and achieving your goals. Chamber constantly expresses his desire to prove he's the best, to be more than just a fighter. He doesn't just want to win, he wants to win in style and have everyone recognize his greatness. But behind his confidence and arrogance lies a deep need for validation. Chamber is undoubtedly a fan favorite in Valorant, embodying greed in a way that not only makes him a formidable opponent, but also adds a layer of complexity to his story and personality. His relentless pursuit of recognition and luxury makes Chamber one of the most intriguing agents in the Valorant universe. He perfectly embodies greed just as Raina does with lust. Zayanya Mondragon, better known as Raina, is a Mexican agent in Valorant. She grew up in a war-torn and chaotic environment, which shaped her into a strong and hard-to-kill woman. Her past is filled with pain and loss, but instead of making her a victim, it has made her a ruthless predator. Her thirst for revenge and power drove her to become a formidable and feared being. Raina's personality, combined with her insatiable lust for power, makes her the most lustful character in Valorant. Her seductive and striking appearance only reinforces her association with lust, but what truly demonstrates her embodiment of this sin is her ability to consume the souls of her defeated enemies. This not only reflects her need to feed on their life force, but also shows how strong and dominant she can become. Each soul she consumes gives her a sense of invincibility. Each kill is another confirmation of her greatness and superiority. When she activates her ultimate ability, Empress, she becomes an unstoppable killing machine, moving with such speed that it's almost impossible to escape her wrath. Raina's lust is not only evident on the battlefield, she treats other agents with disdain and contempt if they don't measure up to her standards. This makes Raina a character who represents lust in a deep and visceral way, with a backstory filled with themes of survival and revenge, just like how the next agent embodies the sin of wrath. Phoenix is an agent from England who, from a young age, showed exceptional talent, especially with fire-based abilities driven by the desire to be the best. He has the power to control fire, which can be seen as a metaphor for his fiery personality and his ability to rise from the ashes. This symbolizes his resilience and determination. Throughout his life, Phoenix has faced many challenges and struggles, including learning to control his inner fire, which eventually led him to master his abilities and become a valuable member of the Valorant organization. His power not only allows him to manipulate fire, but also to heal himself, making him a formidable fighter on the battlefield. Beyond his arrogance, his personality reveals a loyal character willing to do anything to protect those he cares about. Phoenix fights to prove that he can always improve and take on new challenges. His confidence and love of putting on a show make him stand out among his peers. He is also known for his unique sense of humor and his ability to keep morale high even in the toughest of situations. Phoenix's anger is evident in his aggressive approach to combat. He's not afraid to take risks, which often leads him to act impulsively and get into unnecessary trouble, putting himself in dangerous situations, which is somewhat similar to the next agent, Yoru, who embodies the sin of envy. Ryo Kiritani, or Yoru as we know him, is a Valorant agent from Japan, a young warrior who specializes in using technology and illusion to outsmart his opponents on the battlefield. This agent has always been driven by a search for his own identity, his past, and the legacy of his samurai ancestors. This loss of identity fuels Yoru's envy, as he constantly strives to stand out and be the best, not only in the eyes of others, but also for himself. This drive can lead him to compare himself to his fellow agents, feeding his desire to surpass them and be the most skilled on the battlefield. His ability to create illusions and manipulate reality can be seen as a way of dealing with his insecurities and envy. Yoru's primary motivation is a thirst for revenge. In his quest to uncover information about his ancestors, he discovered an ancient samurai mask stolen by the Kingdom Corporation, which he then stole back to enhance his abilities. Yoru continues his quest not only to reclaim what is his, but also to make those who took it pay, showing that he is not afraid to face any opponent. He perfectly embodies the sin of envy, much like how Reyes embodies the sin of gluttony. And I know that sounds weird, but wait, let me explain. Her real name is Tayan Alves, and she hails from Brazil. This girl has a unique interest in technology and creating explosives, which matches her vibrant, energetic, and lively personality. But why do we associate Reyes with gluttony? Well, it turns out that there are aspects of this character that don't fit the traditional idea of gluttony, but are more metaphorical. Her gluttony manifests itself in her crazy desire to create explosions and chaos on the battlefield, seeking more and more adrenaline and excitement while having fun with her explosives. Our explosive girl has also had a hard life, surrounded by violence and conflict, but like a true warrior, she hasn't let it overwhelm her. Instead, she chose to forge her character by making the most of her surroundings, learning and perfecting her skills. Reyes is known for her indomitable spirit, her sense of humor, and her playful nature, but there's also a serious side to her, especially when it comes to protecting her own and being loyal, motivations that drive her to fight, as well as an explosive personality that can be used as a weapon in battle. Although her gluttony is metaphorical, we can say that she's a big fan of food. In her dialogue, Reyes expresses her love of good food and the culture of her country, which also reflects her connection to her roots and her desire to celebrate life and experience all that it has to offer. It's what makes Reyes one of the most popular characters in the world of Valorant. Now, for the Sin of Sloth, we have the edgelord Omen. The darkest character in the Valorant universe, Omen was once an ordinary man, a scientist working for the Kingdom Corporation. But after an accident that left him between life and death, he lost his memory and was reborn with a single purpose. Very little is known of his past, not that he's much of a talker, but we do know that there is a mysterious backstory hidden in that dark past. Omen has witnessed many wars and conflicts that have shaped his worldview. This has led him to develop unique powers and movement on the battlefield that no other agent possesses. His connection to the shadows allows him to teleport and throw smoke bombs that act as a shield against enemies. A dark and ambiguous character, Omen has a sense of duty and loyalty to his team. He's willing to do anything to protect them, albeit in a rather cold and detached way. Don't expect him to be a cotton candy character. His solitary nature makes Omen a representative of sloth, as he often works in the shadows and keeps an emotional distance from others, resulting in a social laziness that prefers solitude and silence. His attacking style also makes him a lazy character. Unlike his teammates, who have an urge to attack, he prefers to remain stealthy and strike when it's prudent, somewhat avoiding the hard work that others take on. His true nature lies more in his role as a watchful agent and his connection to the shadows, a skill that allows him to manipulate and move through them effortlessly. But then, you can't blame him for acquiring such ease. Last but not least, the Sin of Pride, Jett. She is a warrior from South Korea with the ability to control the wind and perform aerobatic maneuvers, allowing her to move fiercely across the battlefield. Her main reason for fighting is her desire to be free and live life to the fullest, seeking the adrenaline rush of battle. She is known as a free spirit with an energetic attitude that can sometimes get her into tricky situations. Her bravery and desire to prove her combat skills drive her to fight with enthusiasm. Jett is extremely agile and has a great deal of confidence in herself when it comes to combat, but her pride comes through when we realize that she's always trying to compete with her teammates and prove her superiority. Her pride in being an individualist leads her to reject any form of control or restriction. She wants to be seen as a strong and capable ally, but this pride can be a double-edged sword for her, positioning her as the best, but also potentially leading her into very dangerous situations. This is how Valorant has portrayed these major vices in its action agents, showing us that it's not always a bad thing as long as camaraderie and friendship take precedence and allow the team to work together. Let me know what you think of these characters in the comments.